The story of the 2000 Maryland state quarter begins long before the year 2000, in the early days of the United States, when the country was forming its identity and emerging from colonial rule into a new sovereign nation. The state of Maryland holds a unique place in the history of America as one of the original 13 colonies, and its heritage runs deep with rich cultural influences from the early settlers and Native American peoples. Maryland was founded with a vision of religious tolerance and social diversity, and these themes echo loudly in its commemorative coin design. The Maryland State Quarter is part of a larger program initiated by the United States Mint called the 50 State Quarters Program. This ambitious initiative was authorized by the U.S. Congress in 1997 with the aim of celebrating the distinct history and heritage of each state through the nation's circulating coinage. Under this program, each state would be honored in the order that they ratified the Constitution, or were admitted to the Union, giving rise to a sequential calendar from 1999 through 2008. Maryland's turn came in the year 2000, and this provided an opportunity to highlight one of Maryland's most beloved and iconic state symbols, the Maryland blue crab. In conceptualizing the quarter's design, artists and state officials considered several significant elements that represent Maryland's heritage and economy. After much thought and public input, the decision was made to celebrate the powerful connection between the state's people and the Chesapeake Bay. The Chesapeake Bay is the largest estuary in the United States, and it has sustained countless generations of Marylanders through fishing, farming, transportation, and trade. While there were other important options, such as references to Maryland's colonial history or landmarks, the crab stood out as a symbol that would resonate with both residents and visitors alike. Featured prominently on the reverse side of the quarter is a beautifully detailed design of two mature blue crabs. These crustaceans are drawn with remarkable precision, showing the reader the strong claws and textured shells that have become synonymous with Maryland cuisine and maritime culture. The crabs are shown in a dynamic overlapping composition suggesting movement and vitality. The inscription United States of America and E pluribus unum arches over the top of the design, while Maryland and the year 2000 appear beneath the crabs, along with the denomination $quarter. The obverse side of the Maryland State Quarter carries the traditional portrait of George Washington, first introduced in 1932 for the bicentennial of his birth. Washington's dignified profile faces left and is surrounded by the familiar inscriptions, Liberty, In God We Trust, and the denomination. In God We Trust reflected the nation's core values and served as a reminder of the founding principles of the United States. The process of creating the Maryland State Quarter began with conceptual sketches submitted by Mint artists and invited designers. One of the most crucial steps was reconciling artistic vision with technical feasibility, because the coin had to be durable enough for daily circulation, yet detailed enough to show the unique characteristics of the crabs. A design selection committee reviewed many iterations and adjusted the composition until it achieved balance and clarity. The final design was officially approved through a collaborative effort involving the Citizens Coinage Advisory Committee, the Commission of Fine Arts, the State of Maryland, and the United States Mint. The finished coin was minted in large quantities at the Philadelphia and Denver facilities and released into circulation in 2000. Just like other state quarters, the Maryland issue was struck in standard circulation finish, along with special collector versions, including proof and uncirculated sets that were sold by the U.S. Mint to numismatists and collectors around the country and the world. Upon release, the Maryland State Quarter became an instant favorite among coin collectors, especially those who collected by state themes or had personal ties to Maryland. Many were drawn to the vivid imagery of the blue crabs capturing regional pride and the state's storied connection to the Chesapeake Bay. In addition to its popularity among collectors, the coin also became a cool way for everyday Americans to engage with history. People often remarked how exciting it was to find a state quarter representing Maryland in their pocket change or register transactions, and this sparked widespread interest in the program. It also prompted educational discussions in classrooms about geography civics and the reasons why coins carry symbolic designs. The 50 State Quarters program remains one of the most successful numismatic initiatives ever undertaken by the U.S. Mint, with billions of the coins produced and circulated. It helped revitalize interest in coin collecting across generations and brought national attention to the rich tapestry of American state histories. The Maryland State Quarter stands as one of the program's standout designs due to its artistic strength and cultural relevance beyond numismatics. For Marylanders, the coin is more than metal and lettering. It is a tribute to the Chesapeake Bay economy, the seafood heritage, and the environmental stewardship that connects residents to their land and waters. For many, the blue crab design evokes memories of crab feasts at the water's edge of family gatherings around steaming pots of crab legs and crab cakes, and of the sound of ocean breezes along the Atlantic coastline. The coin reflects a distinct and beloved part of Maryland's identity, and it continues to hold value as a cherished collector piece and a meaningful representation of state pride. In summary, the 2000 Maryland State Quarter is a product of an extraordinary national initiative born of the United States Mint's desire to celebrate the uniqueness of each state. The choice to depict blue crabs was deeply rooted in Maryland's economic, agricultural, and cultural traditions. The design process brought together government experts, artists, and citizens to produce a coin that resonates with collectors and casual holders alike. And decades after its circulation release, the Maryland Quarter remains a testament to the state's history, heritage, and natural bounty. The legacy of the Maryland Quarter lives on in the hands of collectors across the globe, where each coin carries a story of place-time and the ongoing American journey that began centuries ago. The history behind the 2000 Maryland State Quarter becomes even more fascinating when we look deeper into the broader historical identity of Maryland itself and the timing of its release at the dawn of a new millennium. Maryland ratified the United States Constitution on April 28, 1788, becoming the seventh state to join the Union, and this early commitment to the federal government shaped its political and economic importance in the early republic. The state's strategic location along the Chesapeake Bay and near the nation's capital made it a crossroads of commerce, agriculture, and maritime trade. For centuries, Baltimore emerged as one of the most important ports in the young United States, exporting tobacco flour and seafood to markets around the world. And the blue crab became not just a regional delicacy, but an economic pillar supporting waterman families, seafood processors, and local businesses for generations. By the time the United States Mint prepared to release the Maryland Quarter in 2000, the 50 State Quarters program was already gaining tremendous momentum. Millions of Americans were actively checking their pocket change and building collections from the first two program years, which featured Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and others. When Maryland's design was introduced, it arrived at a moment when public enthusiasm for state coins was at its peak. Schools incorporated the program into classroom lessons, encouraging children to research their home states and learn about American geography and history through coins. Banks reported increased demand for newly released rolls, and collectors often lined up to obtain fresh coins directly from financial institutions. The Maryland Quarter benefited from this wave of excitement and quickly became one of the most recognizable designs of the early series. The artistic choice to depict two blue crabs instead of one was deliberate because it created a sense of balance and movement while symbolizing abundance and partnership within the Chesapeake ecosystem. The blue crab, scientifically known as Calanectes sapidus, meaning beautiful savory swimmer, thrives in the brackish waters of the Chesapeake Bay, and its life cycle has long been tied to the rhythms of Maryland's coastal communities. Watermen rise before dawn, navigating wooden boats through quiet inlets, setting crab pots, and returning later with their catch, which is then steamed with Old Bay seasoning, a spice blend that has become inseparable from Maryland cuisine. Although Old Bay is a commercial product, its association with crab feasts has become cultural folklore, and the quarter's imagery quietly celebrates that culinary tradition without explicitly naming it beyond seafood. Maryland's colonial heritage adds another layer of meaning to the coin. The colony was founded in 1634 under the charter granted to Cecil Calvert, the second Lord Baltimore, who envisioned a haven for religious tolerance, particularly for English Catholics seeking refuge from persecution. The Maryland Toleration Act of 1649 was one of the earliest laws promoting religious freedom in the American colonies, and this spirit of diversity and coexistence continues to define the state's identity. The quarter therefore represents not only natural resources, but also centuries of social development, political debate, and cultural blending that shaped Maryland into a modern state. The year 2000 also marked a symbolic transition as America moved into the 21st century, and the Maryland quarter became part of the first full year of state releases in the new millennium. Collectors often associate coins with the historical context of their release, and the optimism surrounding the year 2000 added a subtle emotional layer to the coin's debut. At the mint production facilities in Philadelphia and Denver, high-speed presses struck hundreds of millions of Maryland quarters, ensuring wide national distribution. Proof versions were struck with specially polished dies and planchets, creating mirror-like fields and frosted design elements intended for collectors. These proof coins were produced in San Francisco and packaged in protective cases, highlighting the artistic detail of the crab design. Numismatically, the Maryland quarter does not contain rare composition changes or dramatic mint errors that define some other coins. Yet it has gained lasting popularity due to its strong visual appeal and state pride. Some collectors focus on high-grade examples certified by professional grading services, where pristine surfaces and sharp details can command premiums in the marketplace. Others pursue complete rolls or original mint-sealed bags from the year of release, viewing them as historical artifacts tied to the excitement of the program's early years. The Maryland quarter also indirectly sparked conversations about environmental stewardship. Because the health of the Chesapeake Bay has been a matter of concern for decades, pollution, overfishing, and habitat loss have threatened blue crab populations at various times, and conservation efforts have been launched to restore balance and sustainability. The coin thus serves as a small ambassador, reminding Americans of the delicate relationship between natural resources and economic prosperity. Even though it is a circulating coin worth 25 cents, its imagery carries deeper meaning about ecology, heritage, and regional resilience. As years passed and additional states joined the program, the Maryland quarter remained memorable because of its clean, straightforward composition. Unlike some designs featuring multiple landmarks or complex historical scenes, the crab motif is instantly identifiable and visually strong, making it easy to recognize even in worn circulation condition. Today, more than 2 decades after its release, the 2000 Maryland State Quarter continues to circulate, occasionally turning up in change and sparking nostalgia among those who remember the early days of the 50 State Quarters program. It stands as a reminder of a time when coin collecting experienced a nationwide revival, when families searched coin jars together, and when each new release brought anticipation and pride. The Maryland quarter captures the essence of a state defined by water heritage, resilience, and community, and through its simple yet powerful design, it preserves a story that stretches from colonial settlement to modern environmental awareness, ensuring that every time the coin changes hands, it quietly tells the enduring story of Maryland and its treasured Chesapeake Bay.